What's up, guys? Specstar here today with my third battle for LD, and I'm going up here against my New Zealander friend Baton Mash, also known as BM, also known as Booty Man, and he has got himself a team consisting of regular Latios, Nidoqueen, Cobalion, Shaman, Sneasel, and Mimikyu. I think I'm getting better with the sickness, but I haven't eaten in 40 hours, so I don't know if the commentary will be better or worse, but hey, let's find out. Also, I know the lighting's shitty right now, so I've decided to heed the call of darkness. And let me switch over to my team now. Here we go. Starting off, I got my boy Genius, the Mega Alakazam, rocking an interesting set. Modest. Oh boy. Here's where I try to remember my speed. I think it was for a base Jolteon speed, whatever the hell that is. I think he had a Pokemon that fast that I was creeping. Could be wrong, I'm pretty sure that's what my speed was. You know, I did this battle recently. That's just my memory being what my memory is. Hey, that's something I can blame the no food on. There we go. I got Protect, Psychic, Dazzling Gleam, and Energy Ball. Energy Ball hits Mega Diancie primarily, also hits Alomomola. Dazzling Gleam, that hits Sneasel, also hits Latios. I want to move that could hit both as much as I could spread it around with limited coverage I have and only 3 moves. And of course, Psychic, which does psychic things. Lastly, I got Protect on this, and that's because I was definitely thinking about him potentially having a Scarf Sneasel. Reason is because I faced the Mega Alakazam with Sneasel, and that's exactly what I did myself. With Protect, I'm able to see what it wants to lock into. If it goes for something like potentially Throat Chop, I'm going to switch out. And if it goes for Pursuit, I can take one and I can attack. Protect just lets me see which one, so I don't have to make any 50-50s. Alakazam's important and very threatening to his team, so I want to be ready for that. That's my phone. I will be back. And we are back. Sorry about that, guys. Next up here, we've got Vesu-Chan, also known as Vesi, also known as Vesipoo, depending on how close you are with him. The Celesteela, rocking a Totemize, Sky Strike with Air Slash. Hits the team fairly well. Flamethrower covers those nasty old steel types. And Energy Ball hits his Wish Fish, the Alomomola. And we have got speed here. Why did I even start like I know why? I think Scarf Nidoqueen is the benchmark I was hitting with that. Could be wrong. I think that was something I was looking for with that. And next up here, we've got John W., the Tapu Fini, running Specs. Still largely looking to perform defensive functions, but in this matchup, if I ran a more passive Tapu Fini, he wasn't going to have issues defensively checking it, I thought. So I decided to go for Specs. This set allows me to hit the Shaman. And in the mock I did, it was very important to get that Ice Beam damage off on it. And Moonblast and Hydro Pump pretty much hit everything else on his team pretty damn hard. Hydro Pump over Surf or Scald or anything, it's important particularly for being able to come in on Cobalion and be able to hit that thing before it can go for some kind of dual dance thing or, you know, any kind of setup, especially with that Z move. Scary. So I wanted to make sure I could put pressure on that thing with my Fini. Next up here, I've got, speaking of pressure, I got a Celebi, which does the opposite of pressure, but we still love it. Well, we love it as far as we would love the grass type we took after all the other grass types went, but we love it. It's on our team now. It's a part of the squad. We're running mixed defensive. This thing is basically optimally built to wall any variant of Diancie. I want to both be able to take Adamant, Diamond Storms, and Modest Moonblasts as comfortably as possible, and I'm invested to reflect that. U-turn, you know what that thing does. It lets it come in and just U-turn out. Because Celebi is very passive, it allows me to kind of keep pressure going with this thing. And I've got Psychic on this thing, which hits a few things. Basically, Dual Stab just kind of hit his team the best in this matchup. I did consider running Earth Power, but I like Psychic a little bit better here. And next up here, we've got Piloswine. Very basic set, max physically defensive. Allows me to deal with Mimikyu, which otherwise is a fairly large threat. Roar covers that. It also could take one hit from Cobalion if he didn't bring Mimikyu, which, yeah, it's kind of a nice secondary function for it. And then I've got Rocks and Dual Stab with Earthquake and Ice Shard, which very basic. And lastly, we've got the specially defensive Duosion, which allows me to wall the Nidoqueen, which the rest of my team is fairly vulnerable to at this point. I've got the Psychic, which is just its stab move, throw it off on most things. Hidden Power Fighting lets me cover Sneasel if I wanted to predict that thing to come in on it. I didn't want to be too passive against that thing. And I've got Toxic, which just anything Psychic and Hidden Power Fighting isn't hitting, particularly Latios, so I wanted to be able to cover that thing as long as it wasn't sub, and in this matchup I didn't think it could afford to be subbed, so that helps me wear the thing down, and this thing defensively covers Latios and Nidoqueen. So back over to the matchup here, and I decided here that I wanted to lead off with Alakazam. It was actually kind of my plan pregame to lead off with Alakazam, although the matchup didn't invite it. The matchup of the 6 Pokemon he brought, I should say, didn't invite it as much as I initially anticipated, but I still thought it was the best one because unless he's going to lead Mimikyu, which would have been pretty weird, I was okay with basically anything else. So I'm going to lead off with my Zam here. And he is going to lead Nidoqueen, so here I'm just going to go ahead and click Psychic. I was pretty much fine with anything he did. If you want to go into Sneasel, I knew the thing wasn't going to 1v1 me, so I'm just comfortable clicking my Psychic here, which covers just about every damn thing else. So he's going to go into his Mimikyu, and I'm going to Mega Evolve and go for my Psychic. So I'm going to break the disguise here, and here's something that I found very interesting. I never knew it worked this way, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it. And I go for the Psychic. I'm going to break the Mimikyu's disguise. My Alakazam Mega Evolved, and I got Traced, but I never traced anything on Mimikyu because the Alakazam can't trace disguise, which is interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and hit Mimikyu, break its disguise, and it's going to pop out with its an eject button to bring in Sneasel, which was pretty interesting prep by BM there. It was definitely not something I was thinking about in prep, so kudos to that. But Sneasel is going to come in, and then Alakazam's Trace is going to activate and take on the Inner Focus. So very interesting. I did not know that's how it worked, but the more you know. Sneasel comes in here. That's exactly why we have Protect, so I'm going to go for my Protect here. He's going to go for a Pursuit. Fairly certain he's locked into it, so I'm going to go for my Dazzling Gleam here. He goes for the Pursuit. We're going to take that, but still take a ton considering it's 40 power. And take out the Sneasel with our Gleam here. He's going to bring in Mimikyu. That thing, of course, will force me out. I'm going to go into my Piloswine as he goes for a Sword Stance, an aggressive Sword Stance. I'm just going to go for my Earthquake here because pretty sure I'm going to be able to take 2 of anything. He goes for Play Rough. It does 35. My Earthquake is a 2 at KO, so I just go for Earthquake again, not trying to be too aggressive because I don't want to take chances with that. He brings in Shaman, which is going to force me out into my Celebi. Celebi will let me go for a slow U-turn. Unfortunately, my Speedy is going to get dropped, but later I'm going to forgive him for dropping my special defense. And I'm going to forgive him for dropping my special defense because we're friends, and friendship matters more than Pokemon RNG. So I'm going to be the bigger man and say, you know what, this hacks doesn't matter because friendship. So he's going to hit me with Hidden Power Fire, and I'm going to U-turn out here. I'm going to see this as my opportunity to bring in the Celesteela and Autotomize up. He's going to go into his Nidoqueen, and Air Slash into Sky Strike is a 2 KO as long as he's not specially defensive invested. If he's just max HP with no special defensible, Air Slash into my Sky Strike will take him out. So I'm going to go for Air Slash here. I'm going to do 32%, so it looks like he's going to have some special D investment and Black Sludge, so it's not taking him out there. I'm just going to keep Air Slashing because Fire Punch isn't doing enough, so I will be able to take this thing out using my Z move. And he gets off another punch, and here I will go for my Z move to take the thing out. And there's one threat going down. Celesteela is going to get a boost, and I'm going to get some nice chip on whatever comes next, since Mimikyu is not... I'm not in range of Shadow Sneak. He brings out Latios, and here I just want to go for my Air Slash to make sure I get the thing in range of my Zam's Dazzling Gleam. But I'm going to get a little bit more than that and flinch the thing, so I'm thinking, at this point I'm thinking, oh well, that's a little lame, but I guess fair game since I didn't flinch the Nidoqueen once. But then I'm going to go for Air Slash again, and it's going to flinch again, and that is going to be quite lame. Definitely not what I was playing for there. I just wanted to get the Latios in range of Dazzling Gleam to make sure that Alakazam coming in meant a KO. I was playing eventually towards a win condition where Alakazam was going to be able to clean up his team, but that's going to come off here, and then Celesteela is going to proceed to take the remainder of his team out. When you play this game, that's the shit that happens. And not what I was playing for. I guess whenever you click Air Slash, there's that. I just wanted to get the thing in range of Zam, but it did happen, and I did take it. This game, that happens. So it's definitely unfortunate. But I wanted to explain how I saw the rest of the game kind of unfolding at that point. So my Celesteela would have died to his Latios, and it would have been 5-5, 5-4. I think it still would have been favorable to me because the remainder of his team, his only real way, Cobalion could kind of hit Duosion, and Mimikyu could hit Duosion. But the remainder, Latios and Shaman, were shut down by Duosion pretty much. He had Cobalion, which was Rock Polish Life Orb, but if that came in, I gotta bring in my Tapu Fini on it, and I could put a lot of pressure on with my Tapu Fini. And, Zam still, if I got some chip off on Shaman, that's essential. Well, I need chip off on Shaman. I needed Mimikyu down for Alakazam to clean up, but I needed just chip on Shaman for Alakazam to come in, meaning a KO. Essentially, my roundabout knowledge, I don't know if you're following the maps I have going on in my mind, because my brain's kind of weird that way, but I think it was overall favorable on my end to come out on top in this, but Celesteela got the flinches, so we won't really know, and that's the way it goes down. I'm going to move on to 3-0 plus 13. Not how I drew it up, but I guess we take these after some of the games I've had on the receiving end of it. Regardless, I guess GG to the opponent. Just out of polite Canadian manners. So that's going to be it. Next week we face Dark, so hopefully we can do it in a way better than this. But you know what? Celesteela being Vesuvius, it only makes sense for Celesteela to be toxic and own the Libtards. It's just living up to its name. And Celesteela will move on to 8 KOs, 1 death, leading the team. And tied for second place with 2 KOs is going to be Mega Zam, Zygarde, and Piloswine. Next up, Jolteon, Duosion, Skuntank, and Tapu Fini will all have 1, and everything else has 0 KOs. In fact, 3 Pokemon haven't come at all. I shouldn't have started talking because I think there's one of them I don't remember right now. I know that Sceptile and Livani. Oh yeah, Heatran actually hasn't come, which is interesting. And this, I'm in no way spoiling next week, because I assure you I have not built for that game, and I have not even looked at the matchup. So I'm doing that deliberately so I can't spoil this in the way I tell this. But Heatran, Livani, and Sceptile have all not come, and Celebi has come and not got a KO. What the hell, Celebi? I stuck my neck out spending 13 points on you, even though me and everyone else called you an Unmon. Where's the KOs? Where's the performance? But, yeah, those Pokemon haven't come, so that's what my stats are looking at right now. Basically, just my stats are run by Vess owning the Libtards. So, that's going to be it. Vess triggers another person, and that's the story. I want to thank you guys for watching. Have yourselves a good night.